Hello and welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew and I am a recovering PlayStation fanboy. I now have 1,301 days clean. So today's video is going to be about fanboyism and why that thought should probably, why that should change with this generation for a lot of people. So as a PlayStation fanboy, I was closed off to a lot of other experiences that, have brought since opening up my horizons, have brought me a lot more diversity and fun into my life. The experiences that I've experienced, on my Xbox, as well as continuing to, play PlayStation games, exclusive stuff like that. It's definitely opened up my eyes to see that there's no reason to be beholden to just any one console. Xbox first party games. So here's the thing, like PlayStation games, like I love my PlayStation first party exclusives. Like I love them. I do love, the experiences that I've had over the years, with games like SOCOM, Gran Turismo, the Spider-Man games, God of War, Siphon Filter, we go all the way back to PlayStation 1, just great titles over the years, just so many great experiences that I'm grateful that I had. And then, I had Xboxes before in the past. I had the original Xbox. I had the 360. I've had, the Xbox One. I've bought in every one of them, but I never, ever gave Xbox the opportunity that I have now. So I do buy more of my games on the Xbox now than I normally would have, about halfway, November 7th. 2017, that everything, kind of changed when I got that Xbox One X. I'd only bought in a few games for the Xbox One before that, like For Honor and Steep, like a couple of Ubisoft games. Plus, the Blizzard Mountain that I wanted, the reason why I bought the Xbox One in the first place. So if I fast forward through all of that, well, not fast forward, but go through all of that time and all the experiences that I had on both consoles, all the way from the last generation, like that was pretty amazing. I wouldn't say that Xbox games are at the visual pinnacle that PlayStation games are, but the gameplay factor and everything that the Xbox, first party games have are definitely at give me just as much value for my playtime as the PlayStation exclusives ever have. So normally with my PlayStation first party games, I would usually, before now, I would usually beat them, and then just sell them. And that, like everybody does that when we're younger, just don't have enough money to keep, collecting, games and stuff. We're at different points in our lives, don't have the resources to hang on to things as long as we want to. So I had set myself in a pattern with PlayStation that I would buy the game, beat it, and trade it in, within a few days, and I was okay with that. I was good with that, and I was a manager at a game at a Game Crazy, so like trading in games, just felt more natural. I was telling my customers to do it, and then here I am, doing it myself. You get caught up in that little circle, and it becomes like a way of life or whatever for a lot of people, but since I've went all digital, like I'm grateful that I've actually went digital, because now those experiences that I have, I get to go back to. If I'm feeling like, hey man, I want to go back to that, I can jump on and I can go right back onto it. So that's brought me a lot more calm over the years and helped me to kind of, move forward out of that mindset, like one and done, Every PlayStation 4 exclusive that came out on the PlayStation 4 I still own today. So that's good, because now I have that library of games, those experiences that I really cared about and I really liked, that I can go back to and play whenever I want now. And and the same goes for Xbox. Every first party game that I bought on Xbox last generation, I now have those as well as all my third party games that I've collected, throughout the last, what did I say, 1,300 and, let me see that again, 1,301 days. So I have everything that I've collected, during that time span. Like, it's amazing. And these games hold up so well now from this last generation that, like, in 5 years, we'll still be able to go back to these games. And with the backwards compatibility in the Xbox, enhancing these experiences more, it just makes that much easier to go back and continue to play these experiences. I mean, I still do, kind of suffer from that, that one and done mentality, on certain things. But as each day goes, I do get better with that. I do, tend to go back and revisit some of these memories more and more often. And, having such a big library of games can be a curse and a blessing. Because I always have something to play. And if I don't have something to play, I've got a perfectly good Microsoft or PlayStation store to deliver another experience to me at the press of a couple buttons. So, I mean, it's not hard to acquire these experiences anymore by any means. You just download them right to your house. You don't even got to go to a store anymore. I mean, it just... fanboying for either one of these consoles nowadays is kind of pointless, because you are literally, I mean, there's a reason why Xbox fans are like super pumped and super happy about Xbox, as well as there's a reason why PlayStation fans are super pumped and super happy about, PlayStation games. But imagine having both of them and liking both of them equally, and caring about both experiences the same. Like that's truly amazing, just having both consoles and not really loving one and hating the other one. I mean, because that's kind of hard, because like for the last 3 years I've really been focused more on playing my Xbox, because I've been buying all my third party games there. But now PlayStation 5 is actually a contender, for me to actually be able to get a good experience that's close enough to the Xbox experience. My main thing for that was I wanted the 4K experience more, a lot more. So I would buy games based on their resolution, buy games based on for the Xbox, like depending on like better textures, better just, and that was the whole thing that pushed me a lot more toward Xbox. And Xbox first-party games are actually pretty good. I do play them more frequently than I played, after completing them. I do go back and play those more frequently than I do my PlayStation games. Like my biggest two played games from each system is Forza Horizon 4 on the Xbox and Spider-Man, the remastered Spider-Man for the PlayStation. Those two games I go back to more than any other games, except for Black Desert Online. I go back to Black Desert Online just a lot, but the experience with a game like Black Desert Online on the Xbox is amazing, because you get the higher resolution, you get better frames, better FPS, you get better performance, so it's a much more stable experience on the Xbox, whereas the PlayStation version's still not there. So there's just experiences that are better experienced on different consoles that still continue to give you it gives you a better, for me it gives me a better, it's better for me overall to be able to to not have to choose, because I can be a pretty picky gamer sometimes. I can be pretty I can be pretty hard on things too, you know. I mean, like Forbidden West, you know. I mean, I'm here complaining about, you know, 30 frames per second, but I mean, Sony's known for that, you know, really pretty graphics at 30 frames a second. Like that, that's just something that I wished we didn't have to see going forward to PlayStation 5. I wish that we would have moved past that, because I believe PlayStation can still make some amazing looking games at 60 frames a second. Like I feel like they can still push the envelope and deliver that higher visual quality on the PlayStation 5 at 60 frames a second. So when I see them still making games at 4K 30, that's just like, guys, man, why are you getting rid of this opportunity to finally grow and finally expand into something else? Because we all know if they develop a 4K 30 game and they put all their work and effort into that, how do we know they're not just scaling down until they get a stable 60 frames a second and they're like, okay, I want them to be able to equally develop both of those modes so that we're getting the best out of both mode. I mean, like I am kind of worried, you know, that Ratchet and Clank is going to be an upscaled 1080p. I'm definitely worried that Horizon Forbidden West would be an upscaled 1080p. I mean, the upscaling's fine and all. I like how they did it with the Miles Morales game though. Okay, so they rendered the game natively 4K and then they upscaled to make it look even better. Like that is an amazing is amazing, and I wish that we could see, you know, more like that. But I want Sony to go more in a 60 frames a second, you know, as a baseline. I want to see them do that, and I want to see them push those limits with, you know, the franchises and games that I love. I want to see them go that direction, you know, and Xbox has really helped open up that avenue for me. So even if I don't get it on PlayStation this generation, I still feel confident that I'm going to get a more performant gaming experience, you know, on the Xbox. And that's why it's important to have both. I feel it is important to not just be beholden to one console for the whole generation. I mean, yeah, you definitely like your first party experiences, you know, more. But I mean, let's build each other up, man. Let's build gaming, you know, as not a tribal thing. Like it's like everybody should be able to enjoy it. I mean, we should all be able to get on, you know, our preferred social media and be able to, you know, be happy about our experience without somebody constantly trying to bring us down. And I'm guilty of that too. You know, I'm guilty of that too. I'm saying that, hey man, let's move forward with this stuff. Let's all do that as a community. Let's all continue to just start loving games and gaming and be the best that we can be, and, you know, allow these developers to develop and create experiences that are going to, you know, propel the medium forward. Like I finally finished Biomutant over the weekend. I mean, I'm satisfied with my experience with that game. I really did enjoy, you know, playing, and once you get past the first few hours of that game, it really opens up, and you can do whatever you want and have an experience that you deem, you know, the best for you. I mean, the story and the characters and everything like that, you know, they're a little on the, you know, I mean, like the AA side. I mean, that's fine. Like but the world is beautiful. Like I love playing around in this world. It's fun. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of secrets. It's definitely a good experience. And when, you know, half the gaming community comes out and just completely says this game is garbage, you know, without even giving themselves a chance to adjust and play the game for what it is and how it was designed, they're only pushing developers to continue to make safe experiences. I don't want safe games, and I kind of feel like that's where Sony's rested their laurels this time, is right on that safe experience. They're like, hey, you know what? No reason to push the boundaries. We could put out a 4K 30 game, and it'll look freaking amazing, better than anything on the market, and people will still buy it, and people will still love us. But I'm telling you though, honestly, if Horizon Zero Dawn came out looking native, native resolution on the last game, with some higher textures and like better settings at 60 frames a second, with just putting more work into that already done baseline, dude, freaking Horizon Zero Dawn would be an amazing experience. To play that game at 60 frames a second and still looking just as good, if not better, than the last game, this close to generations moving forward, dude, that game would be a knockout success. More people would buy it, more people would play it, and like Sony could still say, hey, we got our crown, and still push boundaries, because we rarely ever see games from Sony, at a 60 frames a second. So if this game came out with the one mode pushing 60 frames a second, and all of that work went into making it look and feel the best that they could, I still believe that Horizon Forbidden West would be an amazing experience. Having that 4K, like having to choose between a really pretty experience and a not so pretty experience but better, like that sucks, man, because I want to just be able to experience that game without having to choose. Like Spider-Man at 60 frames a second, no brainer. Like I played the 4K one for like 10 seconds, well maybe like 10 minutes or whatever, and then I was right over to the performant one, because I was like, yeah, Spider-Man swinging through the city at 60 frames a second with okay visuals. Like the visuals are, I mean, you can't really tell at 60 frames a second because it feels a lot better, but everything is still there, except for like some cold back lighting. But they even gave us a ray tracing mode in Spider-Man at 1440p with ray tracing, so, and 60 frames a second. So I know that they can push boundaries with the PlayStation 5, and like I'm excited for the future of the PlayStation 5. I really am. But gosh, man, I don't know. It's hard for me to want to choose, because now I'm leaning way more towards the 60 frames a second gameplay, especially in the open world games. As long as they look, as long as they look a little bit better than last generation but perform better, like I kind of think that's okay for the most part. Like I would rather that these developers focus more on the 60 frames per second than the 4K 30 experience, because I mean the 4K 30 experience looks good and all, but that 30 FPS just is it's worn out its welcome, if you ask me. I've been a gamer I'm 40 now. I started playing my first game at 35 or at 5, so 35 years I've been a gamer. And we've always had that inconsistency with FPS. Let's shoot for 60 FPS as the new standard. Let's do that as console gamers, as a console gaming community. Let's push that medium forward into 60 FPS and move forward from there, because 30 FPS just, it isn't cutting it. It really doesn't cut it anymore, especially when the other side of the fence is going to be more geared towards 60 FPS for their first party, and like encouraging third party to do that. I think this generation is going to be really interesting. The purpose of this video is to try to move away from the console wars and stuff, and not be such fanboys about everything, because both of these consoles offer amazing experiences. I've played both. I have both, and I play both regularly, and I'm here to tell you that either way you go, or if you get both, you're going to have an amazing experience, and there's no reason to kick somebody else for the console of their choice because you think yours is superior or better or whatever. Because I mean, when it comes down to it, both of these consoles are going to be able to produce some amazing visuals and amazing gameplay experiences. So either way, you're set. Enjoy your gaming experience. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.